Hey guys, I know that you're here for the podcast episode. Thank you so much for your support. Real quick, I wanted to tell you about my business. That's STSG Marketing. When it comes to social media, it's a must for your business. If you're not doing it, you're missing out on tons of new clients and a way to engage with your old ones. So it's just super important. That's what I do. I can create content for you. I can manage your social media for you. I can coach you on how to grow your business through social media organically. If that's something you want a hand with, I would love to help you. Cruise over to my website. That's stsgmarketing.com. I would love to help you. Now let's get into the episode. Hey guys, Sky the Service Guy here. I'm your host, Skyler Rader. Today we answer the call with Jorge V. Gonzalez.
Sky, the service guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales, do we got the knowledge to make a mill? We just paying bills, all we know is time will tell. Sky, the service guy.
Today we're joined by Jorge V. Gonzalez. Jorge had a life-changing disability in 2016 that allowed him to reinvent himself into a real estate agent. During this time, his purpose was revealed to him, leading to him writing his Amazon best-selling book, Answer the Call. Jorge is also a talented public speaker and coach. His mission is to reach 1 billion people, and we're going to help him here with that today. Jorge, I already said it before we started the podcast, but I got to say it again. Thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for making time for me. I am so happy to be here. How are you doing?
I am doing really, really good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to make this an amazing podcast.
I'm hoping it'll be my #1 listened episode ever, especially if we're going to reach 1 billion people. That would be pretty cool, huh?
Right.
So today I just got 3 main focus points for us. Obviously, anything in between those points that comes up organically is fair game. But I really want to focus on your journey from the warehouse to the entrepreneur. I just thought that was a fascinating story you shared with me, and hopefully you'll dig deeper into it as we get going. I also want to find a way to talk about breaking generational curses. I think there's so many of us that get caught up in that idea that my dad was this way, or my mom is this way, or my family is this way, so I have to be this way. And unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, we got to break that. So we want your advice. We want your take on that. And then finally, I want to do an overview of your book, Answering the Call. And hopefully you can teach us really how to answer that call. So let's start with your journey from the warehouse to entrepreneurship. Can you kind of go over that accident that happened and what led you into being a real estate agent?
Yeah. So basically, that accident. We've all heard the saying, "Be careful what you ask for," right?
Mm-hmm.
So before that accident, 2 weeks before that, I was in a break room at a company that I was still working at before the accident, and I was looking outside the trees and whatnot. By this time, I was already an inventor. I had invented a batting machine for baseball and softball.
Cool.
My daughter had become a 5-time All-Star, 1-year Rookie of the Year, and 1-year MVP because of that machine. I was unemployed at the time. And then I went back to work, and I had this huge inspiration to really launch that machine and put it in the hands of all the kids, all the youth, to really make them to great players, just like I did that with my daughter.
Right.
So I'm sitting in this break room. I'm looking outside. I'm like, God, you gave me this gift, this machine, and now you have me in here. I mean, yeah, right. I was unemployed for 3.5 years or 3 years, but now you got me in these walls or whatnot. I mean, I don't know how the plan comes together, right?
Exactly.
2 weeks later, had my accident. Disabled me for 3.5 years. I couldn't even pick up a gallon of milk.
Oh my gosh.
I had 3 herniated discs, one in my lower spine, one in my middle of my spine, and one in my neck. I was so heavily depressed and had suicidal thoughts because the medication that you could just imagine, the medication I was taking was so strong because all the physical pain that I was under.
Yep.
And but about 1.5 years, 2 years in, it came to me. It was like, I don't belong in this place, in this dark place that I'm in, with this depression, these suicidal thoughts. I mean, I wasn't scared. I did feel safe even though I was in that place, but I
Sure.
knew that this is not the place where I belong, because I've always believed that someone that has so much light and so much good and so much things to give don't belong in those negative areas, those negative places, in those dark places. We don't belong in there. That's
Right.
just not the way it works. So I got off I made a decision to get off the medication, and then I was able to think straight. So then I started to think, okay, what happened, and how did I get there, and how do I get myself out? And I had to remember my foundation. The foundation was my grandfather, which is I talk about in my book, and also my father. And that was like the foundation where everything that I was building because of them. And
Right.
then I decided to layer it with my daughters, for her being a part of my life. And like I knew that I had to be like a great influence that my daughter would need in life. So
Right.
those three things I stacked together, and I used those as my excuse, my foundation to catapult me into the next phase of my life. And then because I wasn't no longer medicated, I heard this whisper, and that whisper said real estate. And I was like, okay, real estate, that's not far fetched. I've been involved in real estate since I was 14 years old, doing the kitchen and bathroom models and rehabs with my dad and my uncle. So me
Right.
transitioning from the career that I had for 20 years into real estate wouldn't be that crazy because I have that foundation of it. So I
Right.
made a decision to get my real estate license, and I actually closed 12 deals my first 16 months as a brand new real estate.
Hey,
So
congratulations. That's amazing.
thank you. Being able to bring that knowledge, that relatable experience, was really what helped me there. And that was like the beginning of really expanding on my entrepreneur journey, which is becoming a real estate agent.
That's fantastic. My very first client went from contractor to real estate agent as well. So it's funny that you have that in common with him. Let me ask you, kind of going back to the way you set that up, talking about your foundation was your father and your grandfather, and then you were thinking about your daughter. The only thing I can think of is almost like a house. Grandfather and father in the basement. You're on that main floor, and then the daughter's upstairs. And when you said stacked together, how that catapulted you was that more of motivation, or was that something else?
It was beyond motivation. It's more, I'm gonna honor their legacy,
Yes.
because my grandfather migrated from Mexico to United States under this worker agreement called the Bracero program back in World War II. When
Hmm.
I first heard about that story, it humbled me and made me emotional. And I knew that whatever I did, I was going to use that and honor him for giving me the opportunities that he gave me. And then with my father, he passed away when he was 53 years old from cirrhosis of the liver. There's certain conversations that me and my dad had, and certain promises that I made to him, that I'm not going to disappoint him. I said I was going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I use those two things as a foundation. But then, so I'm also building for my daughter. So I use also my daughter being in my life as a triple stack foundation. So there's no way I'm going to give up, regardless of anything that comes my way, because I'm going to honor their legacies, all three of them, including my daughter.
That's beautiful. And I think something that resonates with me, something I've been talking to my audience about, and it's going to be in future episodes. Sometimes I talk more one-on-one just with the audience, is keeping your word, keeping your promises. We live in a society where talk is cheap, right? I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things. What are some of those promises that you've held up to their legacies?
When my daughter was born and I first introduced my daughter to my grandfather,
Hmm.
he told me that he was proud of me because he had heard some bad things about me when I was young.
Sure.
And knowing that I had settled down, I had my wife, I had my child, I was a homeowner as well too, he felt like I had overcome those early things in my life. And then I told him that everything that I was trying to build now, from when I first learned about the story, that I wanted to make sure that I honored his legacy and his sacrifice. And when I told that to my uncle, his son, that I made my grandfather cry. This is a macho man, a strong man, a prideful man. For me to make him emotional, I really hit him deep in his heart.
Yes.
So I knew that it meant something to him. So having that conversation and then sharing that experience with my daughter later, saying, look, baby, this is what happened that day that I introduced you to grandpa. You know, she also thought that is, you know, that I want to make my grandfather proud too, because what he did for you and what he did for me, because obviously I'm part of his lineage.
Right.
And then also the promises that I made to my dad, because my father passed away so young, and I felt like I was barely trying to create things. And I knew that he wasn't going to be around for him to see the fruits of my labor. So there was a lot. He didn't see me become a real estate agent. He didn't see me become, actually, he didn't see me become the manager that I became at my 20-year job that I was. He didn't see me become a real estate agent. He didn't see me become a book author, a public speaker. He definitely wasn't able to see my daughter's successes, what she was able to become because of my parenting skills that I did with her. So that's the legacy we're trying to leave for my grandfather and my father.
And I kind of speaking on what he didn't get to see, how do we go from real estate agent to public speaker? Because it's one thing to talk one-on-one like I am with you. I'm not always great in front of crowds. How did you make that transition?
When I was in management, I had the most staff that I had was like about 200 and some people working for me.
Oh my goodness.
Across 3 departments. I mean, across 3 shifts, 3 departments. So I used to stand in front of them and I used to lead by example.
Right.
So I would speak to them. I wouldn't tell them to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I would roll up my sleeves. I would work with them side by side, and then I would have these conversations with them. So it's almost like if I was being groomed and trained along the way without me knowing that I was going to be on stage in front of people, trying to motivate and inspire them. So this goes back 25 years already.
Right.
Right. And then when
the training before the training.
Correct. So training before the training. So when I was called to write the book, because I was called to write it, I was like, wait a minute, we're in the middle of a pandemic. This is 2021. The world is shut down. This almost doesn't make any sense. But then again, the like a hug. It was so strong. I'm like, no, it's time to write the book. And I was like, well, okay, well, I have the resources. So I guess what's my excuse? There is no excuse. I'm being called to do it.
Right.
So there were stories that I wanted to touch on my book. And one of the stories was my grandfather's journey, my father's journey with alcoholism. I want to make sure that that was like the foundation of my book, because I feel that that's the foundation of a lot of people, because a lot of families go through substance abuse and stuff like that. And when I finalized the book, I was going to call it American Inventor because I'm an inventor. And then that day that I was on the phone, my publishing company, I heard 2 whispers. The first one said, answer the call. The second whisper, almost like if I didn't hear the first one, said, answer the call. And then I said it out loud, answer the call. And my publishing company said, George, what is that? That's the name of the book. Where did you get that from? It was just whispered to me. Okay, we're scrapping American Inventor. We're going with Answer the Call, and Answer the Call we went with. Now, Answer the Call, 2 weeks after that, the meaning came to me. And the meaning is following your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. That's what Answer the Call means.
That's beautiful. Kind of going back to what you mentioned, the foundation of the book is you talk about your father and his substance abuse. My dad had major substance abuse issues, and so I'm kind of like you in the story, and because of that, he was very absent from my life. Can you talk about how you broke that generational curse where that didn't have to be the same thing for you? I think that's something that'll help a lot of other entrepreneurs and people listening to this.
I learned a lot from my father, but because he did have the alcoholic problem, like you said, he was absent in certain things.
Yeah.
And but my mom saw that at an early age. And what she did, I have an uncle that's 10 years older than I am, which is her younger brother. She called him and said, I need you to be George's guide. His father, because alcoholism, he's not really paying attention in that aspect of George's life right now. I need you to step in as a father figure. And
Wow.
when he did that, I realized that I needed a father figure in my life when he did that. So one of my chapters in my book, I call it Father Figures, because I want to make sure that people understand that the boy needs a father or a father figure, whether it be an uncle, a friend, a relative, a grandfather. Somebody has to be in that child's life, because if not, he will be lost and he will not be able to pick up and learn the parts of the man that have to be picked up by another man. And these are things that a female, a mother, cannot teach her son. This has to
Right.
come from a father figure, a man,
Right.
similar to a daughter. A father raises strong daughters because a father only knows how to be strong. We don't raise feminine daughters, we raise masculine daughters. So the mom has to understand that she has to be in the life of her daughter to make her feminine and nurturing. That's why father figure is so important, similar to mother figure on the flip side.
Right. I actually have that book, Strong Father, Strong Daughter.
Yeah,
It was given to me as a gift when my daughter was born. It's funny you bring that up. Um, was there any, so your mom had just a ton of wisdom to make that decision early on for you. Was there anything in particular that your uncle instilled in you that you still use to this day?
absolutely. My uncle taught me how to drive, and he taught me how to drive on a stick shift car where the gear was on the steering wheel, not in
Yep,
the
on the tree.
floor, right? And then he showed me how to bring that change the transmission from the steering wheel to the floor. So then he taught me how to drive stick shift on the floor.
Wow.
He tried to show me how to play the guitar because he's also a songwriter. He showed me how to drive a semi because he's a truck driver, and he showed me how to paint cars because he knew how to paint cars. I mean, I learned so many things about life through my uncle. Things that I never know what a life coach was until I got older to know what it was, and then realizing, wait a minute, my uncle was my first life coach. I didn't even realize it.
Right.
So what he did with me is what I try to do with other people, is be their life coach, their mentor, and their guide. And the biggest success that I've had is definitely with my daughter, because I've had her for 24 years
Right.
in my life. And when people have conversations with them, they're like, wow, I can see how George stuff would spill over you. And I see how when he says that you're wiser, smarter, and more prepared than, I see what he means now.
That's all we can ever want for our kids.
I took that job very serious, as becoming a great father. I took it very,
Yeah.
very serious.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me. My dad didn't get to do any of the things that dads do with kids. So when it comes to my kids, I'm very, very intentional with my son and my daughter. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to use work as an excuse. Some of us become almost addicted to the work, let alone a substance, right? And you just got to be intentional and effective with your time and do something with it. Kind of jumping into the book, do you want to kind of go give us like an overview of the book? That way we can understand what it means to really answer the call.
The book is for somebody to become like really rounded individual.
Okay.
The book is about foundation. It's about influence. It's about the journey. It's about betrayals, adversity, reinventing yourself, faith, and success. Now, and success is going to look different for a lot of people. Success doesn't mean $1 billion and driving a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or a Bentley. That's not really what success is. Success is being fulfilled, what you choose to do in your life, with your gift, your talent, and with your life's purpose. It's all about fulfillment. That's what success is.
Now that you've written this book, you're doing the public speaking, you're doing coaching as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there anything else that you're looking to add to your bucket to fulfill you?
The grandest goal is to reach 1 billion people. And that's going to look like it becoming a movie or a miniseries where I
Right.
can reach a mass scale people, because this message of answer the call about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose, everybody needs to know that. Everybody needs to know that they're special and they're gifted in some
Yes.
way. And we're going to have to go deep within ourselves to figure out, what am I good at? What am I passionate about? And if money was not an option, what would I want to do for the rest of my life? We need to ask ourselves that. And this is why this message is so important.
What are the first couple steps you would give someone to finding their gifts and helping them answer the call?
The first thing is believing that you are special and believing that you are capable of creating and building something much bigger than just yourself. And this means by serving other people. It doesn't have to be 1 billion people like the aggressive goal that I have, but it can be like your local community, nonprofit organizations, and maybe, or going into like the service industry where the service that you're providing is something that you have so much vested interest in, that really fulfills you. And it's going to look different for a lot of people.
Is there any advice you would give to someone? Because I'm somebody of faith and I'm a spiritual person, and it's obvious that you are too. But what about someone who's not like us? Is there any advice you would give them on finding that part of their life?
I think there's no skipping faith. You have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in the self, that means you have faith.
Right.
Now, if you think that you don't have belief as far as spirituality, your creator, you'll get there in time. Because I can assure you that if you believe in yourself, you do believe in something greater than yourself. If you believe in yourself. And faith is believing in something you cannot see. Our dreams, we can't see those, but we believe that we're able to attain them. That's faith. People may not know it for that word, but that's what faith looks like, is believing in something you cannot see. I have these ideas and these things that I want to do and these things that I want to create and all these people that I want to help. That's me having faith in myself, that whatever God instilled in me is worthy of me sharing with the world.
Sure. Now, let's say all signs are pointing towards X, Y, and Z for someone to do on their journey. How do they really know they're answering the call? Are there any green lights along the way to let them know you're on the right road? Keep going, keep going, keep going.
We have to understand that we're not here just to exist. We are here to serve. We are creators and innovators. That is who we are. The moment that you feel fulfilled going after something, that's an indication that you're in the right direction, because you feel fulfilled. Because I know a lot of successful individuals that are very saddened, and they go through very dark places in their lives. They don't feel fulfilled. But
Right.
then I say the word fulfillment, and then I get their attention. And now they change their way of thinking. That, wait a minute, I've been chasing money, I've been chasing titles, I've been chasing these things, but I've never really went after what really fulfills me. Like me teaching people, coaching people, mentoring people, helping people, serving people, that's where I feel fulfilled.
Yep.
If I do stuff for myself, there's times where like, I don't want to do that today. I'll do that tomorrow.
Right.
Or you know what? Yeah, you know what? I know I said I was going to do this, but yeah, I'm not going to do that afterwards. But the moment I said I'm going to do it for somebody else, and I tell them I'm going to do it, I'm going to get fulfilled and looking at them happy, enjoying life. If I was able to get them out of a situation where they were stuck for a long time, you know how fulfilled I am to see that I was able to give them in such a way that it changed their life completely. Now, I do believe on the domino effect, that if I help somebody, they will also help somebody too. That's just common knowledge.
Right.
Because when somebody helps somebody, they will also be inspired to help other people. That's inspiring. That's fulfilling.
I agree 100%. When you're doing your coaching program, is there a particular individual that you help that kind of, is there a certain box that you're looking for when it comes to that person?
There's a lot of people that think that they're not worthy of what they want out of life. And that's the upbringings of the generational curses and trauma that we deal with. And sometimes we feel that, who am I and why am I special to be different than everybody else around me? We get that feeling like, no, I'm going to lose a lot of people. But the problem is that the environment that you're currently in is not the environment that you're supposed to be in. You're supposed
Right.
to be progressing forward, getting yourself better to reach the people that you're meant to collaborate with and partner up with, so that you can then impact the world. So some people don't even think that far out. They only think within the whatever feet in front of them, because they don't know any different. So I was told by several people, George, you think way too ahead. And I'm like, yes, you better believe that.
Right.
And then they say, well, how about the present? Well, eventually I'm going to catch up to the present if I keep planning for the future.
Right.
I've been planning this since I was like a teenager to an early adult to when my daughter was born 24, 25 years ago. I'm catching up to what I said back then. So with my book, I want to reach 3 to 5 generations.
Right.
In my book, I talk about 4 of them: my grandfather, my father, myself, and my daughter. I want to reach 3 to 5. So,
That's
like
beautiful.
I said, I keep catching up to that. So there's nothing wrong planning for the future, but doing daily tasks and weekly tasks and monthly tasks. But those tasks doesn't mean that you're not planning ahead.
Right. So are those the exercises that you would give someone to get them to start working, or get that muscle, that memory muscle, that thought muscle
Correct.
going?
Yeah.
I think
So
you're 100% right.
So the thing for me is, I want to reach 1 billion people. I want to put it into a movie. I want to put it into a mini series. Okay, but what do I have to do immediately to get me there? Be on stages, be on podcasts, share content on social media, continue doing the things now for the grand goal.
Right.
Because the grand goal is not going to happen without the daily actions, weekly actions, and monthly actions. It's not going to happen. So let's not be delusional, right?
Right.
We have to be realistic that we have to do things. We have to roll up our sleeves. We got to get to work, and we got to come up with a plan. But that doesn't take away with the grand plan. We're gonna make small plans. They're going to build us into this big plan. Like for me, I always see the end, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's what I want it to look like.
Right.
So how do I make that happen? And then I pull it forward. Okay, this is the first step. I gotta buy a selfie stick to
Right.
do videos. I gotta buy a camera. I gotta invest in a laptop. I gotta make sure that my phone is always charged up. These are daily tasks.
Right.
I gotta write stuff down. If I get an idea, I write it down and I implement this. But these things are part of the master plan. It's the journey.
Why don't you have your own podcast?
My podcast will be coming in the future. But what I am learning right now with meeting the amazing people that I am, like yourself, is invaluable to me. And I want to make sure that I build my team, because I don't have my team yet.
Right.
I've been a solopreneur for a very long time, because people can't stomach the things that I'm working on, and people can't stomach the pain that sometimes I go through. But this pain, there's lessons there that were needed for me to write the book. There was lessons that were needed for me to help the people that I help. But now that I'm meeting people from all parts of the world now with the podcast, I'm starting to align a team together now. This is what I need
Right.
to build this team now. But it's all part of the grand plan. But I mean, I told my daughter not too long ago, I was like, baby, there's no way I'm not gonna create a podcast. There's just no way. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
And strategically, I'm already planning it already of the episodes and the format and how we're gonna promote it. The plan's already there.
Right.
It's just
Well,
not time yet.
I can tell you, based on your book, based on who you are, what you talk about, I don't think you'll have any shortage of guests. I mean, I guarantee you this idea of answering the call, you might be the first one to uniquely put it into a book and print, but there's going to be thousands of people that want to come forward and tell their version of their story. And they're going to want to share it with you as the host. I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. So when you start it, you got to let me know. I want to subscribe and share it with my people and let everybody know about it. I want to help you reach your goal, man. A billion people, right?
I'm excited with what the book is creating to really share that message. And it's, I mean, like I said, I don't take credit for it. It's not my message. That's God's message. He gave that to me. And
Right.
I just want to make sure that I am committed and obedient to share his message in every way, shape, or form that I'm able to do it. You know, through the colleges, through the universities, through podcasts, or social media, having one-on-one interviews and trainings and coachings, and just in all these aspects where people really get to uncover and say, wait a minute, I have a calling too. I have
Right.
a gift. Why do I keep ignoring it? No wonder life keeps punching me in the gut because I'm not obedient to my calling and I'm not obedient to my gift. No wonder I hate my job because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly. George, is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Is that your website?
Yes, that is my website, and they also can follow me on social media platforms under the same name. It's George_V_Gonzalez. And if you go to my bio, you can actually download a free copy of my book, and then you can see all the other stuff that I'm working on. You can actually, if you want to work with me, you can schedule a call with me for coaching. There's also a mini course that I created for real estate, how to close your first 12 deals in your first 16 months that I created. So I'm trying to put everything together under my platform so people can see, okay, this was what George was talking about. And some things
Right.
may or may not be for you, and that's okay. So you grab what you can utilize and you discard the rest of it. And then you go to the next podcast, to the next bio, like by Skyler's bio, and pick up what you can get from him. And collectively, we're going to build you into this amazing individual because that's what we're being called to do.
Right. If I buy a hard copy of the book and I pay for the shipping, will you autograph it for me and mail it back to me?
Not only would I do that, you'll get a free coaching call with me.
Let's do it. Sign me up. Put it in writing. Send me a contract. I'll sign it. So there you guys have it. Just George, you've been a fantastic guest. I really meant what I said at the beginning of the interview. Thank you again for spending time with us. Guys, please reach out to George. I'm going to have all of his, obviously you've seen me put some of his stuff on the screen, but all of his information is actually going to be in the bio. So be sure to reach out to him. If you're not going to reach out to him, you at least have to like it. You at least have to share it with your friends because we have to reach 1 billion people. Thank you again, George. I can't say it enough how much this meant to me. Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. Before we close, I want to say that I want to promise all of your audience that if you do decide to answer your calling, that is where you will find fulfillment in your life.
I think that's the best thing we could end on. George, hang out for 1 second, okay? I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and I'll be right back. Guys, thank you again for watching. If you like content like this, be sure to like it, share it, subscribe to it. I really mean what I said. We got to help George reach his goal. So answer your call or share this. Look into him. Look at all of his links in the bio. He's somebody that I just think his story and his message is so straightforward and perfect. It's going to help a lot of us. I'll see you guys again next week.
Sky, the service guy, staying up late at night, doing podcasts all the time, talking about service, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got the sales, do we got the knowledge to make